this episode, there is so much not fail that I am pumped up and ready to fix up that thing and drive it home.
Oh, it's full of wind.
We set out to take the Crusher Camaro to Indy, do a 3-day engine swap, and drive the thing home with 700 horsepower, and we did it. Was I enthusiastic about that?
It was long. You lost me after like 10 seconds.
This episode of Roadkill has the highest stakes ever. There was really no option to fail. This whole deal was blatantly bankrolled by Holly, who challenged us to pull the big block out of our Crusher Camaro and install an LS engine in 3 days in front of the entire industry at the Performance Racing Industry Trade Show in Indiana. And what that was gonna mean is taking the car all the way cross country from LA to Indy, and then swapping the engine and driving home with that brand new motor, and doing it all in the freezing rain in the dead of winter. Have you seen the news? Did you know there's a winter storm warning in both Dallas and Indy that we're going to? Literally, Jenny just emailed me and said, you know it's freezing rain here right now. There's an inch of ice on the roads. So I thought it might be prudent not to drive the Crusher Camaro from here to Indy. So we're gonna ship this thing. The car's getting picked up by Pilot Transport 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Finnegan's having dental surgery right now, and he has a flight, but unfortunately it's into Dallas. We have to get him now into Indy because I don't want to have to try and backtrack from Nacogdoches.
He's a girl. He's gonna want to fly home too.
Finnegan, what's up?
Hey there.
The whole plan went upside down today.
Yeah, what happened?
Travis and I are going to head out 5 a.m. tomorrow morning in the box truck and cannonball directly to Texas to get some video of the engine and pick it up and head to Indy. Everybody else is just going to fly directly to Indy, and we're going to start the live feed there, obviously, but also just start Roadkill there. The Crusher is not running and driving as we speak, but it will be by 5 a.m. when the pilot truck comes to pick it up.
I guess I'm gonna have more fun than you, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. It wouldn't be the first time, and the tables will turn soon enough. We're not really getting the band back together. We're sort of scattering the band to the wind, but one way or another, we'll all make beautiful music in Indy in about a week. The biggest deal about this whole thing is trying to think of everything to do an engine swap in 3 days, because literally it could be, 3 torque converter bolts that prevents this thing from driving away a week from today, and that would just be ugly. See this? That's the Terminator eye. My eye gets red when I'm all stressed out and don't sleep, and I haven't slept for 3 days. It's 5:30 a.m. and the transport truck is running like half an hour late already, which is a good start for us. But it's kind of good that he's late because I'm working out a few last minute details. Driving it out with the blower for the last time, at least for now. At Hot Rod, we ship cars all the time, but I haven't shipped one of my personal cars in a long, long time. Poor underside of this car has never seen salt in its life. On the way home from Indy, it's probably gonna get ugly, filthy. Yep, thank you very much. We'll see you then. Yep, have fun. Cross your fingers. So with Finnegan on an airplane, our plan with the box truck was to head as far south as we could to stay clear of the weather. And on the way, we were gonna need to pick up some tires and some tools. Unfortunately, the road trip did not go smoothly. The southern route was screwed. It was as icy and brutal as anything. And every place we looked on the map, we just kept on cutting further and further south until finally we ended up on the 10 in Houston. We're in the middle of Texas on the I-10 between San Antonio and Houston. And now we're stranded here in a gas station someplace with the freeway closed, with no hotels open anywhere around here, and with nothing but gas station food. Now I'm sleeping in the truck. We finally made it here to Nacogdoches, Texas in Mast Motorsports, where we met up with Horace Mast, who I've known for a while, but I've never been here. So he's gonna show us around the shop. This whole thing is his brainchild. He's a young guy, he's incredibly smart. He's an engineer who got involved first in these Gen 4 GM engines, but now he's got projects that are ranging all the way up into stuff in the OE world, including this little tiny V4 that I'm dying to check out. This is the 427-inch LS7 that Mast Motorsports is loaning us for the Crusher Camaro. As you can see, they've topped it with kind of an unusual intake for them. It's got the Holley tunnel ram on it with two 4150 throttle bodies. And the guy from Holley was down here the other day and they fully calibrated this whole engine and it made a little bit more than 700 horsepower. We're gonna run it today just so you can check it out. It might not make exactly the same, but we just wanted to sort of witness it make noise, make sure that we've got all the parts for it and bolts and little chinguses and stuff. And then I am out of here and the guys from Mast are gonna drag this up to Indy for me. Bottom line, on the good tune-up, it made 710 at 6,900 and 577 foot-pounds at...
If you're trying to squeeze everything out of this engine, you're gonna make about 710. We're gonna put it out the door at around 695, it looks like. So you're going up there with absolutely nothing figured out and handled, and you still expect to be out of there by Saturday.
Of course, have you met me? That's what happens. No, I put a lot of time into making them lists over and over and over and over, but yeah, there'll be something that completely shafts me, I'm sure. Finally, we arrived in Indy, and so did the pilot transport truck, and we met up with Finnegan in a parking lot outside the Indianapolis Convention Center, where we needed to get the Crusher off the trailer and loaded into the Performance Racing Industry Show. You think that turned into a debacle? Yeah, roadkill.
We were supposed to be in the convention center at 7 this morning. It's now 7:30. We've got a dead battery, and nobody can figure out how to pop the hood on a Range Rover so that we can jump start this son of a gun. And I've got the world's skinniest set of jumper cables trying to jump start a big block Camaro in about 20-degree weather. Come on, baby. Yeah, the car should have caught on fire because, I mean, rule number one is you don't spray starter fluid on paper air filters. But we had no tools, couldn't get the air cleaners off, and, you know, we did what we had to do to try to get the thing running and out of that trailer.
I hope they let us in the convention center. We're like 2 hours late now. Should have known this was going to happen. The bummer of this is man, just cranking all that starter fluid through this thing and making it ping and backfire. It's like, I probably need to go through this motor now, and we were planning on just dumping it back in the car at some point.
My giblets are frozen. It's because it's 20 degrees in Indy right now, and I woke up at 2 o'clock a.m. my time in California so that we could come out here and try to start the Crusher, which we were unsuccessful at, and now we're going to tow the Crusher. And we bribed a security guard with frosty cold beverages. He's gonna hook us up and get us into the convention.
Loading into trade shows always sucks. Okay, you can work your way right.
You guys said the gas tank's good, right?
Yeah.
So finally, it was the moment of truth. We actually had to start wrenching on the Crusher right in the middle of this giant trade show. And worse than that, the whole thing was going to be on a live video feed. And you can go check that out if you really want to watch the full 24 hours of suffering while we wrenched on this thing. Just search for Roadkill Live on YouTube and you can watch all of the replays. Day one, our first challenge was just to get the blown big block out of the car. The really big roadkill moment of the day came when the transmission... Whoa!
When the transmission slid off the dowel pins in the engine block and nearly landed on my dome, I was surprised.
That was new.
Hurry. And when I mean hurry, I mean hurry.
I am. We got the big block out of the car and went to work bolting the new Gearstar 4L70E transmission up to this LS7.
David, just I don't know if you explained or not, but why the transmission swap as well? Why go from the 85 to the 70?
The Holley swap parts are meant for the smaller cased 4L60 or 70. The kit includes engine mounts, headers, and a transmission crossmember that all work together to get the LS motor into the car. And, you know, it worked perfectly. We were moving along really well because we actually got the LS7 and the new Gearstar Trans in the car with the headers and the crossmember at the end of the first day. We thought we were killing it. Day 2, it seemed like a lot of the glory work was over because that bitchin' looking motor was sitting right there in the car, but we were a long way from making it run. One of the things about this deal is being right on the floor of the trade show, we were not allowed to use a welder and we could not have a compressor. So we were doing all of this with hand tools. We had a big old box full of stuff that was donated by Eastwood, which was super cool. But there came a time when we had to grind some stuff, had to cut some stuff, and had to use the Sawzall. So there we are, throwing sparks in the middle of the trade show and probably annoying guys like, say, NASCAR, who was right next door.
So it's day 3. Ton of pressure. It's the shortest day at PRI, and we have a ton of wiring left to do. We've got to put an entire EFI system in, and neither of us have ever done that before.
We were not going to be able to fail at this, and the clock was ticking.
Sam is in high school.
Yeah.
Sam had his phone taken away at school yesterday because he was watching the live feed.
Awesome. The people watching on the live video feed were bigger than ever. We had a little bit more than 5,000 people sitting there, probably hoping for us to screw this whole thing up. At 4:15, we finally turned the key on that LS7.
Everything's hooked up, right?
Yep.
Crank it.
I gotta tell you, the second that thing fired up and ran, a huge weight was lifted off me because if that engine wasn't gonna run, it was not going to be pretty.
That's the most on time we've ever been with anything.
That's 4:15.
15 minutes.
Now the hilarious part is we fired this thing up right there on the trade show floor, and then we get screamed at just for firing up our LS7.
Can't hear you. Sorry.
We're in trouble.
I can't come back here anymore.
Okay.
All right, we're done.
By Roadkill standards, this was a miracle. But we still had to drive the car 2,500 miles back home. It's the day after our big PRI show win. You can see the place is virtually empty. We're still here because we are learning about the Holley EFI from Rick Anderson and Robin Lawrence here from Holley. And it's taken a couple hours to go through all the screens. We're just like, it's incredible what this thing can do.
I am sealing off the cowl vents because I don't care about having fresh air on this trip, no matter how much you fart in the car. I do not want the cold air in there.
Don't challenge me.
So it's a piece of cardboard cut to shape of the cowl, wrapped in plastic so it's waterproof, mostly, and held on with gaff tape that hopefully will not rip the paint off the car when we get home. Oh, that's cold.
Thank you.
That's gonna hurt. Go off and on then.
Yeah.
I'll have to work on the cold start a little bit.
Yep.
Cranking feels fine. Let's go to after start enrichment. Now, in the base map, we're going to need more fuel in the base map. I would highlight the whole area over here. I would do a 5% hit, send it to the ECU. Okay, go ahead and turn the key off and then turn it back on.
Key off.
Yep. Put it back
Key
on.
on.
Start it. Now start it.
But we cannot go anywhere without marking our territory. That promise was fulfilled when a hose popped off the transmission cooler. So we're pretty sure that that is not Earl's line and this is an Earl's fitting. And so the ID and OD mismatch. We've got 4 fittings, or 3 out of 4 fittings that we changed on these hoses, and we're scared that they're all gonna blow now. And so we're trying to figure out how we can get to a race shop or something and just change all of the lines, because ATF burns. And while it would be nice to be warm, I don't exactly want to defrost my hands against the Crusher Camaro on fire.
I'm using Facebook to try to find someone to rescue us with fittings and hose right now. All right, let's check the power of the internet. People are liking my status. I don't know why they should be liking my status. I'm broke down. And oh look, picture of bacon.
Tony, you hear me? Now, Ben, are you local? Are you still in town or are you gone? He's got the crimper. He can crimp with a professional high-end crimp.
But can we tow the car over
We
there?
don't
and
need to, we
fix
just
it?
need hoses.
We just need hoses.
About 40 people responded to my plea for help on Facebook with various fixes and answers and rides and tow trucks and parts and all that. But in the end, none of them were top fuel racer Tony Pedregon. So as much as I appreciate their help, I really want to go see Tony's car and his tools. So we're headed to Tony's shop. I'm Mike.
How you doing? Tony.
Nice to meet you, Tony.
Just saw you guys the other day. I was at the show.
Good God, you walk into his lobby and there's about 100 Wallies sitting there. And if you don't know what a Wally is, that is the heavy trophy you win for winning an NHRA national event. They don't just give those out in a gift shop. You're kind of a badass if you have one. He had enough that the line of Wallies went up the stairs and around the balcony. This is crazy. So we're inside Tony and Cruz Pedregon's racing facility right now, going through their supply of Earl's fittings to build hoses for our Camaro. I feel like I'm in an alternate universe right now, and it gets better than that. Tony didn't have everything we needed in his racing trailer, so he's raiding his brother's trailer right now. And his brother's not even here, so thanks, Cruz. These are the old tranny lines. And this is some off-brand hose that we had in the car already that we stuck brand new Earl's fittings onto. We had to because the fittings went in different places on the new transmission. And these blew clean off as soon as we fired the car up. The fittings that these guys use, because they're professionals and they race and they can't afford to have lines blow off, this has a crimp style collet on there. And so it uses a pneumatic machine to put the hose together. It never occurred to me that this might be a bucket list item, coming to Tony Pedregon and Cruz Pedregon's shop and making two hoses, but kind of is. This is best day at work ever, man. Hell yeah. All right, let's get out of here.
Meanwhile, we called in more favors, and Adam from Steve Schmidt Racing Engines came and brought their tow truck and hauled the crusher from there all the way to their shop so that we could keep working on the thing into the night. If you recognize the name Steve Schmidt Racing Engines, it's because Steve is an NHRA Pro Stock racer, but his shop is like nirvana for huge horsepower.
Wow. That's all I can say. You know what's really, really cool about it is that it's not like a super sanitary race shop. It's like a regular old school mechanic business, but they've just got bitchin' motors everywhere.
I bring Teflon, the good stuff.
Really?
Crimped and pressure tested by Tony Pedregon himself to 400 PSI. That guy was so cool. And he didn't have to be cool because he drives a car that goes 315 miles an hour.
Is the shop like full-on pro, engines everywhere?
I wanted to lick the floor.
Zip tying everything just to keep it as far away from the exhaust as I can. There's about an inch of airspace there, which is pretty good. Could be better. So it's late enough tonight that we're going to leave the Camaro sitting here in the shop overnight and go sleep, come back in the morning and fire it up and take off with no problems whatsoever for the next 3 days.
We're gonna drive home in winter and be a little spoiled because if we don't like the way it's running, we just tap a few buttons here and give it a tune-up. I love hot rods, especially high-tech ones. You get us stuck already.
You put it in gear and it spins the tires.
As soon as I hit the parking lot, I realized this could be a lot uglier than I expected it to be. The ice was bad.
Feel it sliding in the ice?
No, I just thought Earth was spinning the other direction. You realize right now we're the only yellow Camaro with an LS7 driving through Indiana on a snowy day.
The only
one.
Hitting the road in the dead of winter in a 700 horsepower 67 Camaro might not be the smartest thing to do. And a lot of guys on Facebook made sure that I knew that it was not the smart thing to do. But you know what? It really wasn't that bad. The way I look at it, what did people do in 1967? They drove their 67 Camaro in the snow. And we had our Continental tires, which were way better than what was available back then. And yeah, we had 700 horsepower, but we were able to keep it under control. In Roadkill fashion, we ended up finding ourselves on the way to Arkansas, and the Crusher was running money. It was really good cruising down the road with this thing. The drivability was a lot better than the old big block. Not as cool looking, but plenty violent. Right up to the point where the fuel pump died.
Ollie gave me 3 reasons why this was going to happen. 1, because the fuel pump is vertical instead of flat. They say that can get air in it and tend to overstrain the pump. 2, because we've got the regulator before the fuel injection rails, which is a pretty normal deal, but they say that it causes the pump to work at the higher pressure to then regulate down, so it overworks the pump once again. And 3, because the pickup on the pump is about, I'm gonna say that much higher than the bottom of the tank, and in theory you want the whole pump below the bottom of the tank so that the weight of the column of gas is feeding the pump. I naturally thought all of those things were like hyper scientific things and that we would get away with it, and apparently I was wrong. That pump has 2 pumps inside it, a redundant one, so I can just wire the other one and it should work.
Go ahead and do it then. My dome is to the highway here. I'm not gonna look, I'm just gonna ignore it. All right, do it. Okay. Hit the key. Yay! Let's hope it lasts. And in Roadkill tradition, we're late. In fact, I think we're about 2 days late, which really sucks because my wife's birthday is coming up, and if I'm not home in time, she's gonna kill me. We're in Missouri, and we've got to drive right through Arkansas to get home, and that is where my parents live. We grew up in SoCal, but at some point, the kids went off to college, and mom and dad retired in Arkansas, sort of. They bought a store there, and my dad is there working today. So we're gonna try to surprise him, because I only see the guy like once or twice a year, and with any luck, he'll be in tears when we give him a Roadkill shirt.
Finnegan's, this is Patty. Can I help you?
Hey, Patty, it's Mike. Is Dad around?
Yeah, hold on. Let me go take him the phone.
Hi, Mike.
Good morning.
No, it's not. I've got a mess like you wouldn't believe. So
What happened?
the main line to the septic tank clogged, and the basement is filled with you know what.
Wow.
So
All
let
right.
me call you back.
Okay, well, I'll call you tonight, and you can give me an update.
All right, love you, son. Thanks.
Love you, Dad. Bye.
Unfortunately, when we're on these roadkill trips, we sometimes can't see everything that we want to at the side of the road, but we passed this one junkyard that gave us no option but to stop and check it out.
We're in Missouri somewhere and driving down the road, saw this massive junkyard, and we've passed a whole bunch of little, really good old cars, but this was huge. And the sign said, "Come meet Bob." So we're gonna come meet Bob and look at his junk. How much does he want for this? Because that is the next episode right there.
Somebody could have used that car. Oh, did you see that? Oh
Yep.
my God, that hurts.
Coming?
Hold on, I'm watching the train wreck. This is like watching a horror movie. Hey there, how you doing?
Fine.
Are you Bob?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm Mike.
Sign said meet Bob.
Glad to meet you.
Nice to meet
And
you,
I'm
Bob.
David.
David.
Yep. Oh, I completely feel home at a junkyard. It's so hard to find stuff like this around California anymore, but when I was a teenager, the yards were full of stuff like this. This is a 49 Packard, 55 Dodge Corvette. I used to have one of these in a 2-door, except it was tri-tone. Cool original Jimmy 6s, neat. 64 5 Ranchero. Ooh, M38A1. That's a genuine military Jeep. Ooh, is this an International? Yes, it is. 65 Thunderbird. Oh, no way. What year is this dude? Oh, M715.
He is such a Jeep geek.
This used to be a fire truck.
And the crazy thing is he never drives Jeeps. He's just got a lot of them, you know? He likes the theory of owning the Jeeps.
This is like new. Okay, that's the one I need most. Oh, that and the M715 and the 54 Ford. Ship them all home.
There he is.
Do you want me to pull up?
Yeah, just pull up. He's gonna his pants. Pull.
That's him right out front, Travis. He's right out front. He's right out front.
Go, go, go. Pull right up to him. This is gonna be awesome. He's getting the mail. What are the odds? Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Hey! Sir!
Good to see you, Ted.
You are the last person on the planet I expected to see today.
Surprise.
So am I in the episode of Roadkill?
Oh, you are now.
So anyway, I hit the garage door opener, and this truck that I had helped him buy 4 months earlier is in 1,000,000 pieces on the floor of this 3-car garage. He's never gonna get this back together, and I'm gonna kill him. Come back for a visit in the summertime, and this truck is all back together. And that's when I knew this kid knew what the hell he was doing with trucks and doing things with his hands, and
So my dad's owned this store for quite a while, and I've worked it a few times. You know, not enough to be a seasoned vet, you know, in the pizza kitchen, but I know how to spread out the pepperoni. So I made a couple of pies for the crew and gave Dad his Christmas present a little early, the coveted Roadkill t-shirt.
Coolest t-shirt next to the Finnegan's Country Market t-shirt.
Thank you.
What are you doing there? Sure. Go and visit your father and leave me out of it. When you guys got to the 4 o'clock mark and I thought, oh, you're so close. Freiberger kept saying, we only have one piece. We need one piece and we can start the car, and you guys finally found it.
Wow, you were watching.
And the Freiberger went over there and turned it over and it fired up. The biggest hoopla. It was nice. I enjoyed it. It was a good show.
All right, Mom, I love you, and I'll call you later, okay?
All right, hon. Bye. Drive safely.
All right, bye. Dad's got a sense of humor, so of course he wasted no time in telling my friends all of the embarrassing stories from my youth. And when it was time to go, we did our first proper burnout in the crusher, right in front of his store. And this time, he didn't yell at me.
Now this was pretty cool. There were some viewers who were actually looking for us on the I-40 because they knew where we were traveling, and they gave up and stayed at a hotel overnight, and in the morning woke up and came out, and there we were with the crusher. We just totally happened to run into each other, which was pretty cool. We checked out the guy's Imperial, which had a few problems that we fixed for him.
The wire was twisted together here with tape and twisted together here with tape, and this one looks like it was attacked by a piranha. You can see all the bear marks right here. So we'll fix all of these.
Do we have power here? No? Okay, turn the key.
Magic.
We decided that we were going to head to Cadillac Ranch outside of Amarillo, and I put a post on the Roadkill Show Facebook page that said, hey, you know what? We're going to be here around 4 o'clock. You guys should meet us there. And sure enough, we showed up, and there was like a dozen Roadkill fans there with their hot rods to meet up with us and check out those Cadillacs with their noses stuffed in the ground.
Oh, that's a nice car. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming.
Are you really with them?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I have about 200 cars, and I have a Camaro that would mate with that Camaro, make the super Camaro of all time next year.
Yeah? You have 200 cars? That's worse than me. Do you build them?
Yes, I do.
Yeah?
Actually, from the ground up.
Cool.
Yes, sir. Y'all like to party?
Yeah, we have beer with us.
Just a little bit.
We just showed up at Cadillac Ranch, and there's a whole bunch of guys here. Check it out. El Camino, Roadrunner guy, Mustang guy, truck, GTO, hot rods. So this is pretty cool. It's nice that all these people came out. We've been chatting with them for a while. Now we're going to head out and look at the Cadillacs.
Cadillac Ranch has been here since 1974, and it's actually like an art project that some guys did.
Yeah, I've been by here a dozen times and never had time to stop.
Yeah, look how many layers of paint are in there. It's cool that this is basically like an art installation where it's not just car guys who are into it, but apparently people from all over the world come here to graffiti these things. And once again, I just don't see that many stickers on them, which I'm adding, and they might come get peeled off or something. It's strange to me that they're not just plastered in decals. So I'm handling that situation as best as I can right now.
As much as I wanted to hang out at the Cadillacs and shoot photos and shoot the bull with all the random Facebook fans that showed up to see us, I really had to get moving.
When we left Cadillac Ranch, the Crusher was running great, and we figured it had all been shaken out and proven, and we were just going to cruise right home. But we were behind schedule, so we decided to fly Finnegan out of Albuquerque. And on the way to the airport, things didn't go as smoothly as we thought it would. First, the engine chucked a fan belt.
See, the tension that's building now is, will Finnegan get to the airport or will he not get it to the airport in time to get home for his wife's birthday?
And second, for the first time in Roadkill history, I actually got a moving violation. I got ticketed for not pulling out of the cops' way while they were at the side of the road busting someone else. So I dropped Finnegan off in Albuquerque and then headed back to LA by myself, which also turned a little bit hairy when I ran into a big snowstorm in Flagstaff. So we both made it home in time for Christmas, but the story didn't end there. There's no reason to put a 700 horsepower engine in your car without drag testing it. We decided that we wanted to compare this new engine to the old blown big block, which ran 1062 at 128 miles an hour. So we headed to Sacramento Raceway to find out how quick the LS7 would be.
Finally, we've made it here to Sacramento Raceway to drag test the Crusher and find out if the LS7 is quicker than the blown big block, which ran 1062 at what, like 128 miles an hour or something like that. One of the cool things about putting the LS7 in this car is that it's an all aluminum block, and between that and the smaller transmission, the 4L70 versus 4L80, and the coilovers, we threw 343 pounds off of the Crusher Camaro. Even with the steel wheels and the cage and everything, this thing weighs 3145.
It's not a half aluminum block, it's an all aluminum block.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I mean, block and heads. All aluminum long block.
I had to point it out because somebody on the internet will.
It doesn't make even a fraction of the torque of the big block. The big block made literally 700 pound-feet, and it had everything that it needed in order to pull a really high rear gear set. It had 350s in the car, but to take advantage of the 7,000 RPM capability on this engine, I ordered some 457s from Moser Engineering. I geared it so that if it runs 130 to 135 miles an hour in the quarter, it should run through the lights right at the peak horsepower number, right around 68, 6,900 RPM.
All right, this is a first run in the Crusher Camaro with a new LS engine.
This thing is faster. Oh, wow.
In the very first pass down the track, Finnegan was all over the rev limiter, and it didn't even matter because the junk ran 1055 right off the bat, quicker than the big block, and it was obvious there was a whole lot more left in it.
It accelerates so hard now with these gears that by the time I looked down to see when it was time to shift, because the tack is too low, it was too late and I was on the rev limiter. It's a lighter car, man. It's way more fun to drive. So we're gonna go again. So that run, I just put the trains in drive, let the computer shift it all on its own. Same problem, bumping up against the rev limiter.
We got to tuning on the thing, getting into the Holley Dominator computer setup and adjusting some of the shift points and the rev limiter.
way faster than we thought it was going to be. I think, what'd you do, 10:19 at 132?
Yeah.
So we are jonesing for the 999 and throwing everything at it we can. We had some problems early on where it was hitting the rev limiter, and there was a couple of issues with that. One, we didn't tell the computer what rear gear I had put in the car, and two, we just had some parameters set up in the computer that we weren't going to catch, but Ricky from Holly dialed us in on that.
Here's the problem. We have two pretty restrictive air filters. This is the solution. I'm going to take these out, and I'm going to make a new hold down using this strap that we got at the local hardware store, a drill, a cutoff wheel, and this trash can. It's my belief that if we can get some more airflow into the engine, we can make some more horsepower. So we're going to take these out and replace the filter, which is what holds down the scoop tray mount. We're going to replace it with this piece of strap. So our nice, beautiful 90-degree bend for one side. Without the death wheel, there is no roadkill. That's gotta flow better. We don't have these big old air filters in the way here. It doesn't look great, and this is pretty much backyard hackery, but this is what happens when you're trying to modify a car to drag strip.
Finally, after we were like 10 or 15 passes deep on tuning on this thing, we got it to the point where the Crusher ran 1010 at 134.8 miles an hour 4 times in a row. We let the car sit for a little while, completely cool down. We saw the density altitude go below 0 at the track, and sure enough, the Crusher put down its best time of the day. The 1007 honestly was way quicker than I thought the car was going to be. I figured it would be right in the 1030s or 1050s, but in fact, if we put a torque converter in this thing, we would have a 990 car with the Crusher Camaro. So it gets 17 miles per gallon, almost runs in the 9s. It's capable of driving 2,500 miles across the country in bad weather. That LS7's got a big edge on our 6 mile per gallon, 1060 run and blown big block. So really what it comes down to is the car doesn't look anywhere near as cool, but it's a lot faster and drives a lot better. So what do you want to do? Go fast or look good? Like we always say, going fast is looking good.
I once drove here from California.
You're gonna embarrass me.
Yeah, I am. Drove all the way out here. I get into town, drive right up to the gas pump. I'm on fumes. Start pumping the gas, and Dad comes out. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Yeah. We're hugging and everything. And about 30 seconds later, he goes, I'm gonna need the money for that gas. And I'm like, I just drove from California to see you, and you're gonna charge me.